We continue our part with the cover part. We have two isometric views from outside of our part, and we have some sections about this two part. We have two sections actually, and we have some out view details from right and left side of our part. Okay. Here, what I'm going to do is I will firstly create the basic circles, the basic points, and I will just make that basic points. I will just work on those basic points around this one. For this, the basic points here, I have some details about our figure here. These are the outside view, and we have also the sectional views at this point. Also, we have some details on the right, left or right side. It depends on where you have named it. And we have some other details from this section here. We first create the box, the body part, then we will just remove some materials inside and outside. This is a much more better, easier part than the other parts. And we will just make some details to fit on the body part. First, what I'm going to do is I will just create this outline. Here, then I will just make the inside body to be extruded and taken out. Then I will just make, this time, I will remove material by having the revolve command from the part. We have all the details in the sphere. The first thing, I will start my figure with this outline here. I will just draw every detail from this figure, the section AE. The next, I will open a new part. Standard millimetric IPT. And I will create a little bit smaller here. Take it this side a little bit much more smaller here. Yes, I have the detail. For this, I will just create the outline first of all. Okay. Save my part file. Save my part file again. This is the part. I think we have left the part body. This is the part 4, let's say, the cover. Okay. I think we have 2 extra parts more. Open the origin center visibility and XY plane visibility. Start a new sketch on XY plane. I draw the axes, and for this part, it is not very important to select. You can see select this point as origin or this point as origin. It depends on your selection. First, I create the axes as usual. I create a big line. This line, I will just use this line, and the second axis line, I will use this line as the second axis. I will just select 2, 3 lines and turn them to construction. The next, I will have the constraint, the coincident, the midpoint to this point, and to midpoint to this line, midpoint to this line. And I will just make out like this, also So I will extend this line and I will just make this line on origin. Here we have 152 millimeter far from distance between these two lines. I will just insert that relationship, dimensional relationship to our point. Okay. The next, we have 432, the line. I have two lines actually. Also, you can just convert this line to solid line, and you can use as the base view of our line here. The parenthesis lines just shows you that you have a reference length. Actually, I have taken that reference length from our part. The next, I will just make the trims for unnecessary parts. Okay, from line to line and line to line. Okay, this time. Here, what I'm going to do is I will just draw two circles by using the origin lines. This one, I have one circle here and also another circle inside. Also, we have the thicknesses. For that representation, I will just adjust again this one and make it trimmed. Just two lines, okay. The next, we have an inside curvature here. For having the distances like 130 for this one, the other one is 90. These are all inside points. Also, we have a fillet between these two, but for outside. As you see, we have again another circle containing this point. Also, another circle using the same, sharing the same center points. For this, I will create two circles. And also, I'm going to make the trims. Next, I will just use a line for trim purposes. Also, I will just give the dimensional constraints. Okay, let's make the trims first. Then they are using the same, sharing the same center points. As you see, we have a fillet for 20. Do not forget that one. This one. Let's leave as it is, but I'm going to make this one. Here, I have some dimensional relationship here. I have 25 millimeters in length. This point is 25 millimeters far from this point. Okay. The next, also for the other side, I have the same relationship. This point is far from this line, which is 25. Also, I have a dimensional relationship, which is 20. Okay. Okay. This is the dimension of our figure. Okay. The next thing, we have the fillets. Do not have any details so far. Here, we have no thickness. I have increased this two thicknesses. As you see, they are moving. But what I'm going to do is, I will just add this detail. I have a circle or a fillet with dimension type with radius, which is 20. And this circle is tangent to these two circles. Okay. And I will just make the trims for part here. What I need is I think, as you see, our dimension just moves sideways. For this, I need to give some detail about this figure. Also, I would like to have again, a new feature. I would like to keep this point somewhere here. Okay, let's make the same amount. We have the same thickness. For this, I will just split this line into pieces, also this line into pieces, and make equal to each other. Okay, so I need a relationship which is the same thickness sharing this one. For your curiosity, I will just make this line is about in length. That we have a thickness less than 6 millimeters, 7 millimeters, I'm sorry. You can just give it as it is, or you can just simply leave it as it is, or 7. It isn't very important, so at this point. Okay, we have this outline. We first create the body part, which we need here. And also we have again an extension which we have in the cover part. We will also have a tooth cut in our part. Okay, let's start with this first sketch. We have the body part. The next thing I would like to have is make an extrusion about this length, which is 240 millimeter. Okay, the next thing, I will just use this relationship and I will just extrude my part for 200 millimeters. Okay, I'm sorry, 180 millimeters. Then I will add some portions which I have seen from the outside. Okay, I will add those portions. The first thing I will extrude with all selections. I need all selections. This part, this part. But I do something special about having to select all the features here, all the figures. I would like to use 180, and I would like to make this time symmetrical because I would like to use the midplane of XY. The next. Okay. Also for outline, we have 280. Also we have a dimension which is 240. The base part, we have 240. Okay, let's continue with the details, which is this time we have 180. I will make the extensions. What are those extensions? From the outside, views. I will take this view as outside. As you see, we have a fillet arc shape here, having the radius for 60. We have also another arc shape, which is 70, and it will just follow the outline here. First, I'm going to make this portion in my figure. The next, I have this view. This is my view here. I would like to extend this base view here. Also, I do not forget this portion. It is going to be added. Okay. The first thing I need to sketch on this surface. Okay. I have this center point. To get the other center point, I have a project geometry. I have created. I'm going to use this origin point and this point, which I have just have the projection with. From here, I will use a radius dimension, which is 60. Also, I would like to cover the bottom line. Here, I would like to have the radius, which is 70, a little bit smaller, this one, this time. We have these two lines. And I would like to, if you want, you can just create on the same sketch. I would like to trim this portion. Okay. Then I will search the corresponding section here. We are going to use AG section. And AG section, I will just to rotate in clockwise. I have these outlines. As you know, we have 180 millimeters in stock at this point. And from this point, we have symmetrically extruded outside with 240. For this, I need a stock about 30 millimeter on each side. I'm interested in AG section. Here we have some details, as you see, AG section, which is this point, okay. Here also I have another detail at this point, but I'm interested only in this point. As you see, we have some clues about the straightness on this side. Okay, the first thing, I would like to just create this section here. For this, I will just change my right. Okay. The next thing, I would like to have two more extrusions like this and this one. These are 30 millimeter extrusions. Okay. Also, what I need is I do not have any extension. I need a base view here. For this, I will just go back a sketch and add the top section by adding a line. Here, I need also the base view, also this geometry to our part. I will just add extrusion and get this profile to be extruded with. Okay, we have this outline. I will make the cut later on. For the other side, also, I have the same details, but this time I have another detail at this point, and it seems that it is visible. But from the figure here, as you see, we have an extension, not like this, not the inside. We have an extension on the other side. For this, I will just go and create this sketch on this side. As you see, we have a straightness at this point, go like this. Then again, we will just make this. I will start a sketch on this view. I will turn my view. This is my point of view. From this point, first of all, I will draw two circles, which I have seen here. Also, the next one, but I will leave as it is. I know these dimensions. Also, what I see here is we have a straight line. I will start that straight line by having the geometries, the base, this line, and this line. I will create a line starting from this point, ending to this point. Yes. Okay. For radius dimensions, I will just make the trims. For other arc shape, I'll get the project geometry to get this point, this point. I'm going to use that point to create the 70 millimeter in radius section. I will just, if you want, you can just make the trim first, then give the distances. Oh, okay. Let me have an undo. Give the 70. We have two sections, which is this one. It is 60. The other one is 50. 50. Okay. For 50 length, as you see, we have some details about the 50. Here we have the thickness from wall side to wall side, which is 180. We have 240. And after this one, we have some details about this extension. And that extension, we see that dimension. As you see, this is an AH section. The AH section, it is on the right side. It is on the right side. It is on the right side for AH section. We have some extensions, which is 30 millimeter. Awesome. Here, what I'm going to do is, I will have this 100 or 50 thickness starting from this 180, and after to 140, I will just make the first extrusion with 30, then another 30 to make this one to be extruded with 60 millimeter. Okay, I have this extension and that extension, backside, and to be extruded with 60 millimeter. Okay. After I have used a sketch, it disappears. To use it again, make it visible again. Then I will add the other portions, which I did on the other side. These are extruded to be 30 millimeter long. Here, I will extend this one to be with 30. I will add this portion to it. Also, I need to add this portion as well. Okay. These are our part dimensions. Okay. The next, what I'm going to do is the next thing. I have the body part. Basically, I will just close this visibility. I have the basic part, and I'm going to use to make this part empty inside. For this, I again have the sketch visibility. And this time, to work better, I will just do the half section view. From this point, I will just enlarge, have the half section, and have this shape. For this point, I will just make a cut point here to just reserve. As you see, we have a sharp edge just going along the line, along our figure. And it is thickness from wall to wall, which is 160. For this, I will just select the inside features, the inside areas, and make the extrusion with cut processes with the dimension of 160. Okay, the next, I will just choose the extrude tool, select the faces here. To see better, I will just make the cut. To see on the other side, I'll change again the size. I'm going to add these extrusions on and on to see what I have in hand. Okay, this is the part which we have here. Also, I will just make the copy by using the same circle here. Okay, if you want, just go and again edit this sketch. I would like to use the same circle center and make one circle tangent to this one. Okay, then make the trims for unnecessary parts in order to, I'm sorry, in order to have this intersection, okay? Or, okay, I have some missing point. Again, I can just use the same thing and make the, I think I have that dimension anyway. This is 70, the 20, okay. Same thing, tangent to this tangent, tangent to this tangent, and it will have the same center point using this one. Or you can just make it stick somewhere here if you want to. Or you can just use the radius. +20 6. Make the trims this time. I will also make the cut at this point. Okay. Okay, the next cut we have on inside. Okay, not through all distance. I'm sorry. 10 millimeters to inside. To this side, we have a cut here, as you see. And I would like to add one profile, select this one, and select this profile as well. Okay. Then I will do a symmetrical extrusion with 160 to make the part empty inside. To see what I did here is I'm going to just go to view without half section, with end section view. I have this bottom end like this. Okay, the next. From this point, normally I do not like to giving the fillet, but I would like to prefer this time. Fillets on the last point, but I would like to give fillets for these four corners with 10 millimeter radius. This one, this one. Okay, we have the fillets this time. Also, we have some other details at this point. I'm going to make a revolve section for these all dimensions. We have all the dimensions from the bottom view. For this reason, I'm not going to be very precise here. Also, we have the fillets on outside of our dimensions, also inside. Let's give them. First of all, I have the fillets for outside, which is 20. I'll change to 20. Also this one for 20 to inside. We have also 20. For the other side, we have also 20. Okay. The next thing, we mostly have all the things here. We have this outline, and we also just combine. Let's continue the fillets. This one have the fillet. This one also have the fillet. Also, these two also have the fillets. Okay. Now I have the figure, which I have seen here almost. Let me move it. The missing portions are here. I will just make the revolve section, also make the holes here, as you see. We have the fillets, also we have small fillets just going around. I'm not very keen on it. I will just make this one for the other side. We have the other details. Okay, let's continue. The next The next thing, we will do some interior work. For this, I will just go to and have the bottom view, which I have seen from this view. Exactly the same view which I have here. You can just separate, or you can just combine the holes and the revolve sections in our figure if you want. So I will just separate them too, because I do not want to confuse much more and more again. The first thing, what I'm going to do is I will just create two lines. This is the line here. It passes from this point, which is the origin one. I will just make this point coincident on this origin. I'm not going to use, but I will just make something special. Turn it to center line because I'm going to use for center line properties. The next thing, we also have another center line called other role processes. And this center line has the distance between these two circles is 152. For this, we have 152 here. What I need is, I'll just make this one. I will just start from the left corner side. We have this line, this area to be removed from this point, which is, again, I will just starting the rectangles. I will revolve and make cut at this point. From this point, I have 1, 2, 3, and 4 rectangles. I will just draw 4 rectangles attached on to each other. Okay. I will not stick to these points. The next, what I do is I will first define the dimensions from this point to this line. From here, with the AH section, I can see that section from AE, which is this one, and this one is just not AE section here. It is removed. Also, AF section, I can see here, which is 35 millimeters. This is the output shaft dimension here. We have 35 millimeters. Okay. We have this outline, which is this one. As you see, we have also a tooth section here. I will first make this one, this extension. Okay. The next thing, I will just reduce this to 35. The next thing, what I will do is my dimension just starts to, and also I do not forget this one. I will give the thickness, which is 22. The next thing, I would like to have a 60 millimeter dimension for this diameter. This is 60. Okay. The next, the dimension is from this point to this point. It is not separately dimensioned, but it is dimensioned like this, which is 25, which I have seen here. The next thing, we have an 85 millimeter in diameter. This one, this is 85. And that dimension here, this 85, it is 52 millimeter far from here. 52, far from this line. This 85, which just takes to this point, as you see here and here, it is 52 point far from here. the next. We have also another part, and here I have seen that part from EA section, and here I have this part detail, and that part detail is about the, I'm sorry, 45, which is the 90 millimeter, I'm sorry, I think. Okay, that's not very important at this time. Okay, let me look for it, and if I have just placed that dimension somewhere else. Anyway, okay, we can resolve that later. I will just make this point on this point. I have the constraint coincident, this point on this line. Okay, then the next point here, I have this line or this point on this line. I will make the revolve here. When I find the dimension here, I will just add that dimension. No problem. Let me look for 8, I think 90. But it doesn't seem 90. Anyway, it's much more bigger than 90. Let me also correct that one. Okay, this is the revolve tool. You can just make it revolve around as you wish. The next thing, for the next section, I am going to use the 2 rectangles for this side. I will just make 2 rectangles side by side, following each other, and give the dimensions I have seen here. This one, the biggest one, have 90 millimeter. The smaller one is 52 millimeter. As you see, we have 10 millimeter, which I can just calculate for this length, or you can just make the first point stick on this line and adjust everything that you have seen here. You just stretch the lines. Here, I'm sorry, I'm not going to stick this one. I will just move this line, stick to inside line, this point on this line, and here, this line, the inside line, is 18 millimeter far from here. Also, this line is 8 millimeter far from outside. This is a close, and this point is not open to air. This is an output shaft here. The next thing, I will just continue without moving here. I will go and zoom here again. I have some details, also other parts. We have 75, 35, and other things here. But on the seams here is 35, 75, and outside diameter is not shown here. Okay, the next thing, what I have here is, I have 2 circles. Okay, actually 3 circles, 3 revolve sections. I'm going to adjust those dimensions. This section is 30 millimeter far from this end. This one is 30 millimeter. And also this line is 8.25. And here I have this dimension to be 75. Okay. The next one, we have 35, and it is on this line. Make coincident this point on this line. Also this point on this line. The next, we have AG. Also, I can see that with AF point here, which is 90 millimeters from this point, which is this time, it is 90 millimeters. I'm sorry. This line to be this line, which is 90. The next, also we have 45 here, the missing part on this part. Yes, it is that one. For other side, I have not mentioned this one. I think that is also 60. Let's make this one to be 60 because I can, I'm sorry, 120, which is the radius 60. Okay. The next thing, yes. The next portion which we have here is I have two rectangles to revolve. One here, the second one, it follows. I will just take back, okay, 120 again. The next, I will just draw two arbitrary rectangles to revolve around this axis, and those dimensions are the diameter dimensions, which is 65, also the 85. And I would like to just go from inside to outside this time. From this point, we have 25. I will just move it to inside. And I would like to have this line on this point on this line. Make coincident, have the coincident constraint. This point on this line. Okay. Next, I will just stretch it to. We have also wall thickness 5 millimeter on inside, which I have seen at this point. Okay, let's arrange those dimensions. This time, this line is 5 millimeter far from this point. Also, from this point, we have 25. Okay, finish my sketch. I have all the sections to be revolved around. I have the revolve to have all the sections one by one I'm going to make. Also, you can make this one each axis. I select the axis, this line, this time, and make not to be filled, not to be joined. I would like to remove and cut this process. As you see, we are going to just make the cuts here, okay, for seating points. To use that revolve sketch again, because we have made also this one, again, I just choose the revolve, select two sections, 3 sections on the right side, and for revolve section axis, I will use this axis. I'm going to make the cut. Okay. Then I do not need any sketch anymore. Okay. The next thing, we need the whole points, starting from this one. For this, I create a new sketch on the back face here. Lastly, I'm going to make the cuts. I have forgotten to make this one. Also make these whole connections. Okay. Also, I have forgotten that one. In the technical drawing side, I'm going to make that whole details. Okay. The next thing, what I'm going to do is I will just create the whole scene here. Next, I have omitted this one. I think that's wrong. Here, I have 50. First, I create 4 lines to define the 4 axes on each side. This is the line here, just passing through. This is the line here, just passing through. This is the line here, which passes through all our figure. And I would like to have convert these for construction purposes. Then I will just define the dimensions here, which is 10 millimeters from all the corner sides. This is 10 millimeter far from here. This is 10 millimeter far from here. This is 10 millimeter far from here. Also, this is 10 millimeter far from this lineette. Then I will create the whole axis lines from all sides. We have 4 holes on the bottom side, bottom line. We have 4 holes. These are normal holes. We are not going to make the threads. This is also 4. You can also use the circle commands to have the center points. If you want, you can also use those. Let's make the upper parts with circles. I need a circle here. You can also make the extrude like this. I need only to use the center points. Here, I will just use this one, 4 circles. Diameters are not important for me because I'm going to use the whole command. Okay, but the dimensions are important for me. We have a different dimension symmetrical around these 2 points, which is 50, and I need 25 on this side, or you can just make the dimension to be defined from this point. We also have the dimension from this point to this point, which is 50, and when I just create this one, then I have defined one dimension here. For example, the figure here has all the dimensions mentioned, but when I use, instead of lines, when I use circles, I have to define their diameters. I would like to make equal their diameters to each other. Especially, I will just stick to this one, and I will just make, which is 10 millimeters here. Also this one, it is not defined. Again, I will define this dimension from this point to this point. It is 50. The corner side, we have again the 10 millimeters, and it is symmetrical around, and we have 50 millimeters far from here, which is 50. The same thing for other side. It is also on the line here. This is also 50. Okay, the next thing, from the other side, we have different dimensions, as you see, which is 40, sorry, 40, and you can make the equality here. From these 2 points, I'm going to use this point as 35. As you see, when I just make the constraints fully constrained, this is also 50. Okay, 50. The next one is also 50. Also, we have 40 to 10 millimeter. We have already done that 10 millimeter from the top side, but we do not have this 40 millimeter in dimension. This dimension, we have forgotten this one. If I have just made equal to the top circle, which I have defined, also when I define this equality to the other side, it is also the same. I will use these points for hole purposes. Okay, I have the hole here, and this hole dimension we have, I think, 12 millimeter. Yes, it is the hole. This is a true hole. I will just start. We do not need a threaded hole with a simple one. I need 10 millimeter, and which we will pass through our all part. This one, this point, this point. When you just make the selections, we have some details on the other side. Okay, I will go back and continue to select the points. This one, this one. Do not hurry. Be precise. Like this. This one. Also this one. This time I'm not going to use a circle, but the point here, another point here, a point here, and point here. Okay. The next thing, what I'm going to do is I will just make the revolve cut section from this point, from this side, the input problem here. Also, I will just add the details which previously I have. Here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this detail to this portion here. Okay, the next thing, I start a new sketch on this face. Let's show that face again. I have this view and use this face. Let me delete this one and start a new sketch on this face. Here I'm going to use this detail, this view. As you see, we have a 65, the same thing. For this, I will just make the cut by using this line, a line actually. You can also create that line from here, from outside and move to inside. Let's make that one because we have already done many things and it will just affect too many things in our part. We have a trapezoid shape like this, and I will extend the missing part to just make the touch here. For this, I need 20 to 20, which is 20 to a 20. And I would like to make, this is not specified, I would like to make equal to these two lines and give this dimension 57.5 millimeter. and I will make this point on this line, and I will just move it inside, and I would like to make a cut from the endpoint here. I'm sorry, I think I have sticked somewhere here. Okay, I will define this point far from this far end, which is 70, and make the fillets around this one. Also, I would like to fill this point. Again, from this point, I would like to fill this point. As you see here, we have no dimension, but I think it just have the same parallel line like this. Also, I have the same thickness or something like this one to be this one, again for 20. Also, I have some other details like this. Okay, anyway, I will fill in this side. Maybe I should have to take this, fill it back and take it again. Depends on how. Okay, have the project geometry for trim. I do not need this one and this one. Also, I can just make the 20 millimeter far from these two ends like this if you want. So you can also get this one, this line, and make the trims. I will fill in this point and also make the same thing on the other sides. I will copy the geometry by having the mirror tool. I have the mirror tool, this line, this line, this line, this line, this line, and the small line here. And I need a mirror line before starting this one. I will just go and convert it to construction. I will select everything, have the mirror line, and get this mirror line with apply and done for other pieces. Okay, here, which we have. Okay, the next thing, we have 140. Let me also check this view, which is 140. I have to measure this tool. Yes, that is 140. Okay, you can have it this way. I think that's not very much thickness. Anyway, okay. Okay, the first thing, I have the extrudes. These two extrudes to inside to this point, to the inside of our surface. Up to this point, I need the cuts. Okay. The next thing, I'm going to use that fit. Okay. I have to add some parts here like this. For this, before this one, I will ignore the fillets which I have made at these corners. I will just again and deselect these lines. Okay. I have again the extrudes. Select this profile. Oh, this seems to be open. Okay, I would like to make this one closed. I can use this section, but I cannot use the other section. I will go to this sketch and I'm sorry, not this one. I will go to the last sketch and I will just make a close profile to here. I need to make this profile to be closed like this, finished one, and have the extrude tools. this one, and this one. And I will just make this time flip to other side to next, but I'm going to make the join operation to next. When I use this selection, it will use the first face that it will stick to. Okay, I have removed some portions, but I will just heal it by adding these sections. Okay, the next thing what I need is I will just hide my visibility, the sketch here. I have this view. The next thing that I have is the fillet tool. With 20, I need 2 fillets. You can also make some additional fillets here if you want so. Like this. Okay. Anyway, we just create the fillets again. Heal it and just make it this one. We also have some holes. For these holes inside, actually outside, we will use a geometry here. I will just make this one. I have 2 holes, one here, the other one is the mirror of it. For mirroring purposes, I will just use every sketch here for construction. The diameter is 120, the radius is 60. I will adjust 60 and 30 millimeter from this axis, this one, which is 30. Let's use the same orientation here we have. Also, I need another pattern that I would like to use. First, make the cuts, then pattern, select the mirror line, apply done to get these 2 points. The next thing I have missing in this technical drawing, I will just create 2 holes, threaded, metric 12 with the blind hole dimensions. This time I need an 18 millimeter to 20 millimeter in thickness in these 2 points, this one and this one. Okay, these are the dimensions which we have here. For the end motor connections, we need this. The next thing, the last thing, I think we have these small fillets just going around here with 3 millimeters, which show, I think I have some in some view. I have to, yes, this one, as you see, we have 3 millimeters in radiuses. I will just add modify fillet, change the dimension to 3, and select this corner and this corner and change my orientation view, this one, also some other ends, go for the other part, so this one, let's select if I have, yes, I think I have, yes. Also some other parts if you want so. Okay, these are the fillets which I have. So far we have made all our parts. We have 2 missing parts here at this point. I would like to continue to modeling with the part 4, and I will just make all the assembly and all our groups together. We will continue.